The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host and their guests do not necessarily reflect those of Para X, its affiliates, or its sponsors.
All these voices.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Staring into the Abyss. I am your host, horror author James Hershey Jr., and with me as always my co-host, old boy James Ash. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing pretty good. How's everybody tonight?
And tonight we also have a very special guest all the way from Salem, Massachusetts, Christina Corsetti. How are you doing, my dear?
I'm doing great, thank you.
For those who don't know in the audience, Christina is the founder and the owner of Behind the Gravestones magazine. She also has a paranormal team and just has basically been in the paranormal most of her life. So let's start first with the magazine. And how did you get that started? What was your idea for it in the beginning? And what is your goal for the magazine?
Sure. It's called Beyond the Gravestones Paranormal Magazine. And it's a high quality, full color, 60 plus page magazine. And it's all about haunted locations and articles ranging from all sorts of paranormal phenomena. And a long time ago, I wanted to do a paranormal magazine, and I always had the idea to do it. And I just never put forth the effort to actually do it. And I actually finally decided, you know what, I'm going to do this. And I just went full blown, and I did it. And it's doing great. I mean, it sells out each issue. I got it going around the world right now, as far as, Australia and all different places. It's doing really good. And I even have digital copies that are now available. So for people like out in different countries and stuff like that, because it's so much to ship to them, I have the digital copies, which will help. And what I started doing, it's something I've always wanted to do, you know what I mean? And now that I have it and I've done it, I'm not stopping. It's going to be full blown. It's going to get bigger and bigger, and it's going to get better and better.
Yeah, for the audience listening, we were actually in one of the issues of the magazine. So I got a copy of it, and I will tell you, it is a beautiful, beautiful magazine. It's very well done.
Thank you very much. What we started doing now was I started offering ads for businesses and services free of charge, full page ads, or if you have any paranormal experiences that you'd like to share, we are doing an interview based article that can be done. So I tell people to take advantage while it lasts, and I think it's a great idea. It helps exposure to businesses and different avenues of the paranormal. Then we decided to do a ghostwriter column, and with the ghostwriter, it answers your questions through psychic with ability to tap into your feelings as an energy healer master. So to communicate with divine spirits to help you understand the unknown. She's non-judgmental. She's completely honest, no sugarcoating. She has over 15 years intuitive experience. And what we decided to do was, if you wanted to be published into the magazine, it'd be a little fee, and you'd be published into the magazine, or you could just have her answer your questions. So I thought that was really cool. So it's growing because I got interviews lined up left and right. I'm making ads every day for this thing, and it's really taken off.
So what about your experiences in the paranormal? I know that you've been involved with the paranormal, with your own paranormal team, and studying the paranormal for many, many, many years. Would you like to go into that a little bit? And when did you form your team? What kind of cases do you work?
Sure. I formed it back in, I think it was 2014. and it's called Strategic Paranormal Operations Team, which is SPOT, and it's based out of the North Shore of Massachusetts, and we're serving New England. And our mission basically is to support, comfort, educate, and provide evidence in a professional manner. And all investigations are free. Residentials, I do a lot of residentials. And it's not about money to me. It's about helping the families, helping, the situation, taking care of it, and making sure that they're comfortable in their own homes.
Yeah, I think that's the way it should be. There's too many people out there that, and you see it a lot with the psychics as well, where it's almost like they're taking advantage of people, and as far as I'm concerned, I've never charged for a case, and I never will charge for a case. Now, I'm not saying that if you have to travel all the way across the country or something, that maybe you shouldn't get some gas money once in a while. I understand that, teams that do that. But for me personally, I've never charged anything to work a case. And my team doesn't charge anything. And Old Boy over on the West Coast, he doesn't charge anything to work cases. So I think that's kind of the way it should work, because let's face it, a lot of times these people who need our help are not in a position to be able to shell out a lot of cash for that help. And unfortunately, there's really no place else to go, because you can't call the cops, because they're going to think you're crazy and they're going to lock you up probably, or put you, in with a shrink or something like that. There is no number that you can call. It's not like the movies where you call Ghostbusters. There's really nobody. It's just us. So the way I look at it, you really probably shouldn't charge for the work you do. Do you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. I would never charge for an investigation. And I absolutely do agree with that. And I do think that, people who profit, it's not right. You know what I mean? I mean, these people need our help, and we go in and, I'll go into an investigation and get all the information, what's going on, and then do the investigation. And then after that, I'm a solitary witch, so I do a lot of spells. And I'll do a banishing spell and get rid of what's in the house, or get rid of, the energies and whatnot. And every every investigation I've had, it's come out a victory, because it's always worked, and they've never had problems after that. And they still thank me to this day for all the things that I've done for certain people.
You live in Salem, Massachusetts. Are you a big Salem witch trials buff? I mean, do you know a lot about the witch trials, and do you study that?
Not really. I don't really study it. I mean, I know about it, and I know what it's about, and I do have information about the whole story of it, but I don't follow it. I think a lot of it was nonsense. Didn't have to happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, what's fascinating about it is you hear a lot about the Salem witch trials here in America, but over in Europe, there were tons of different witch trials that went on for a long, long time. And I actually brought up several years ago on this show the werewolf trials that happened in Europe as well, to where they were trying people for being werewolves, presenting evidence and then putting them to death for the crime of being a werewolf. And at the time, nobody had really even heard of the werewolf trials. I only heard of it because I was researching it and found some old documents that said that they happened. And I was like, wow, look at this. And a lot of people think that the Salem trials were so horrific. But in reality, the Salem trials, if you really look at it, weren't really as bad as the majority of the witch trials that happened over in Europe. They went on much longer, and they were much more brutal. Not saying that it was a good thing that it happened, don't get me wrong, because basically I think what you had to happen there was you had a couple kids that got some attention and liked it, and so they kept on going with it. Is the essential story, I think, of the Salem witch trials. Old Boy, did you have anything you wanted to ask, brother?
What we were talking about, the witch trials, we don't need to get into that. We'll talk that in a minute. What I have noticed, and you guys were talking about people charging with the stuff we do, that's something I deal with in California. Unfortunately, in California, everybody who watches Ghost Adventures, all of them, Zach Baggins, they'll watch the show and then they want to go out and do ghost hunting. And then they charge people. Or they want to be famous. That irritates me, because I know you guys were talking about it a couple minutes ago. I'm not meaning to change it, but I was going to talk about it, but then you guys started talking about something else. But that's one of the main things, the reason I don't really do it as much as I used to. Plus COVID kind of ruined everything, and my team's kind of things are going on right now. I'm going to go back and do it soon when it gets cooler. But that's the problem we have out here, is everybody thinks they're on TV or YouTubing everything or trying to make money off of it. And if you're into this business for that, then you need to get out. If you want to be famous, I get it. Everybody, if somebody offers you a deal, that's different. But if you're into this to be famous, then nope. I mean, yes, I happily got famous. James is already famous before he even started doing this. He was a horror author. Christina's starting to get up there with her magazine and her group, but we're not doing this to become rich and charge people millions of dollars. The Salem trials, the werewolf trials also happen here. There's St. Peter's, when he first came here, claimed there was werewolves here. There was werewolves hunted here. It just doesn't get talked about because a lot of people don't believe that. Now I'm switching to the other topic we were talking about a minute ago. And that's another thing a lot of people don't realize, is there was a lot of stuff going on. It wasn't just the witches getting killed here. It was, people thought there was werewolves here too, but it was more majority, like James said, a lot of stuff was happening in Spain, Europe, especially in England and Germany and Romania. They used to remember vampires. There was a vampire trials. People thought they were vampires. They would stick stake in their heart and cut their head off. You know how that, and then come to find out, when you die, blood comes out of your mouth. So people thought that, back then, so much, and they still believe it. There's still people who put garlic over their doors and everything. But let me ask you something, Christina. Do you run into that a lot back out there in Massachusetts? I know James doesn't get too much, but he does a little bit. Do you get a lot of people just who want to just get into it because they watch Zach Baggins or Ghost Adventures and all that? Do you get a lot of that? Just wanted to know.
Well, as far as the investigations go, I'm not sure. As far as, I don't watch those shows. I don't believe in them. I think they're mostly, just to hype up and mostly fake. I don't watch even TV, to be honest with you. And I don't think that, people want to be famous. People want, I was talking to some guy, I think it was yesterday, and he was telling me he charges for investigations. And I was kind of thrown back, and I was like, here I am, doing an ad for this guy, and he's telling me that he charges for investigations. So I kind of questioned him and said, do you think that's right? And he gave me this whole paragraph about, well, I understand if it's an event that you're doing at a certain mansion or something that, you know what I mean? That you're going to have people come through, do a tour, do this, do an investigation, do an event. I can understand that, but not like residentials. Not with people who need help, because people need help. You know what I mean? And I would never charge to go to a residential for anything. I mean, I just think it's wrong. Even Lizzie Borden, I think that's wrong. They're profiting off the house. They're profiting off, Lizzie Borden, the murder and everything like that. And I don't think it takes like $1,500 just to spend a night there and do an investigation. I think that's crazy. I think that's taking advantage of everything, and I don't think any of that's right.
Yeah, I feel the same way about all those places. You mentioned that you have to go do a tour and all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of places like that. Like, I'm not going to name names because I don't want to piss anybody off. But there's a lot of places that are haunted places that you have to pay money to go into and spend the night or get a tour or whatever. And I agree 100%. I think that's garbage. I think it's nonsense. I think you're profiting off of the spirits, and you're bringing a lot of yahoos in there that don't know what the hell they're doing. And that's bound to just piss off the spirits, period. I mean, they're just going to make them angry. And it's just not good for anybody, I don't think. And you see a lot of that going on now, where people will buy up these locations, and then they start charging $50, $100, $200, $500, $1,000, whatever, to come in and to investigate the place. And I just think that's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, I do too. I do think it's absolutely crazy myself.
So here's one question I always ask whenever we do an interview. We don't do very many of them. But one thing I always ask every time is, what was your scariest paranormal experience? What happened that made you freaked out? Like, that really got to you?
All right. Well, this is the thing. I've been in the paranormal pretty much my whole life, and I have had experiences. I have lived in Salem, 1,800 houses, and I have lived in places where I had flies on the wall, like demonic entities in my house, and I had flies on my wall, and these are big horse flies, and there was like 20 of them, and I'm like, what? In my bathroom, and I'm like, where is this coming from? You know, and I would sit there. They wouldn't fly. They wouldn't move. They're just on my wall. There's like 20 of them. So I hit each one of them, and they all pinged to the floor. And I'm like, what is this? I walk out. I come back in the back of my wall. I'm like, are you serious? Because see, my thing is not only am I a solitary witch, but I love hoodoo. I love EVPs. I love pendulums, and that's what I do. And I have over 6,000 EVPs on my computer right now, of just all the locations I've been at. I collect them. I think they're great. And in my house, for the longest time that I lived in 14 years, I had a lot of demonic entities and a lot of demonic EVPs, and you know, if you know, and I just think it's crazy. So it'd have to be the darker side. I was in a place where I was always feeling like I was being watched, and no matter what I did, I couldn't shake that feeling. Well, I was laying in bed one day on my stomach. Next thing I know, I got smacked so hard in the back of the head, my teeth rattled. And I was like, oh my God, like, you know, so I started saging and start doing banishing spells, trying to, you know, get this thing out of my house. But it hit me so hard, my head moved and my teeth, it just hit me. I was like unexpected. I mean, I had, like, besides things flying off shelves and doors opening, closing, you know, lights going on and off, that's no big deal. But when you get into the darker stuff, and doing a lot of EVPs, it's like throwing yourself out there. You know, you attract them, and you attract anything that comes your way. And when you start talking to them, they have messages to bring, and they want to talk to you. And you just now you got all these entities or spirits or whatnot in your house. You know, and mirrors to me are portals. So if you have mirrors in your house, obviously they can use that as a doorway to come in and out. And I had one in my house. It was a vortex, and they were using it as a doorway. And I have an EVP that actually says that they were using that, and the undead was walking through that door in my house constantly. That I was able to catch a shapeshifter on a radio show, because I have two talk radio shows myself. I'm actually bringing one back on the air, Beyond the Grave Radio and Paranormal Graveyard. I'm bringing Beyond the Grave Radio back on the air soon. But through one of my shows that are on my YouTube channel, you actually see the shapeshifter shapeshift from the shadow to a woman. It was crazy, and that was in this house that I was living at. And I mean, I can keep going on and on and on about, you know, experiences and things that happened to me. I mean, I'm not scared of it. Let's put it that way. I think it's really interesting. I think collecting the evidence is what we do. And that's what I do. I like collecting the evidence and showing people that, look, this is what's really going on.
Yeah, it's interesting that you brought up the mirror thing, because we actually did a show on mirror magic a long time ago. And in that show, we were talking about mirrors, and I was talking about, the analogy that I used was like, mirrors to me are like exits on an interstate. So the spirits can be traveling along the interstate, and they can use the mirrors as exits to come into your home. And that was a theory I had on how mirrors are used as portals. And it's interesting to hear you say that, because that kind of confirms what I was thinking on the subject.
Oh, absolutely. And they even say you shouldn't have a mirror next to your bed. There's something about having a mirror next to your bed. I'm not a fan of mirrors. Okay, I got to look in them. I understand that, but I'm not a fan of them. I've had a lot of things happen in mirrors. I've had to actually put some, you know, do a ritual of of a mirror and get rid of it and dispose of it out of houses. Even my mother's house, for instance, she was having problems there, and I had to take care of this mirror. It was in direct view of her, and it was causing a lot of problems. There was actually an entity in the mirror that was actually causing problems for her because it was in direct view of where she was sitting. I mean, I have I don't understand. It doesn't make sense to me when you have a camera inside your house and you're videotaping what's going on, and 24/7, right? And you go back in the camera to watch what happened to you, and that 4 minutes of what happened to you disappeared off live feed. It doesn't make any sense to me. How can I be watching something and then all of a sudden, you're doing something else, and that 4 or 5 minutes is just gone? I mean, how can that just be? They don't want you to see how they hurt you. They don't want you to see that. I mean, even my mother, for instance, she's gotten thrown off of chairs and slid down the floor. I mean, it actually happens. People do actually get touched, and they do get moved, and they do get, tossed around. And the darker side, it is what it is, but it happens. And I try, and with my shows as well as my Haunted Salem online, my groups, try to educate people about what to do in these situations, or what to do, if this was to arise, because you think nothing of the paranormal, you go your whole life and never have an experience, or you can really see poltergeist activity. You can see, residual hauntings, portal hauntings, even being intelligent, if something's intelligent, it's communicating with you, so I just think all this is important, and it's something that our team, likes to educate and teach people about their situations.
Yeah, see, we deal with mostly demonic cases here on the East Coast, my team, because I have a church ordained exorcist. That's his job, is to handle exorcism cases for the church, and he's on our team here. So the overwhelming majority of the stuff that I do is real bad. It's like hardcore demonic cases where the church has become involved because it's something that's so bad that it can't be taken care of through normal means. So the stuff that I'm used to seeing and run into is way extreme. So when you say that you can be touched, you can be hit, things can happen, you are 100% right. I've had whole lighting fixtures, ceiling fans and heating ducts and stuff knocked out of the ceiling onto my head. We did this case where I was out in the woods, and I took on the ghost of a serial killer that had captured a mother and a daughter and raped and murdered them there in that spot in the woods, and then had a shootout with the cops there when they came, and he ended up dying himself. Well, all three of those spirits were stuck there, and he was continuing to torture them every day since the day they died. And they were trapped there, and he wouldn't let their spirits leave. We ended up crossing the mother and daughter over, and he got so pissed off that it literally started raining stones down and stuff on top of us, and there was screams coming from the woods. It was insane. I got it all on film. It's on one of the episodes of Tales from the Abyss on the YouTube channel. For everybody listening, if you want to see that episode, that night was absolutely crazy. And I literally thought that I was going to die that night, because, I mean, there was stones that were bigger than my fist. They were just being rained down on us from I don't know where. I don't know if they were being thrown from the woods or if they were coming from the sky. I have no idea. But it was a scary-ass night. Now, I'm happy that we did what we did because we saved that mother and daughter spirit. They got crossed over. They're good. But he was super, super pissed. And we didn't have our exorcist with us that night. It was just me and Andy and a couple other people. And I thought, man, we really stepped in it here.
Wow, that's actually amazing. That stuff you hear about, the stones coming down, stuff like that, is something you usually hear about in like England or the United Kingdom, stuff like that. I never heard about cases like that around here. Well, being in Massachusetts, you guys are in California. But that's stuff you hear about like in other countries. I never heard of stuff like that around here, and I've never seen anything. I mean, yeah, I dealt with the demonic, and I've dealt with regular, just angry spirits, that they're just, if you're, they say if you're angry or you're an ass in real life, you're going to be the same way in spirit. And, it's just dealing, most of the time, we don't want to sit there and say, oh, we're going to go to the demonic. It's not like, oh, it's a demon. That's not what we're looking to do. We're looking to, it could just be just some angry entity or spirit that just wants to cause trouble. And once you take care of the situation and calm the situation down and take care of it, it goes away. And if it doesn't, you do more and more and more, and you don't stop until it does go away. Because you are here to protect people and help people, and especially the children. It warms your heart when you hear that, things that you've helped them, and these things, they don't have problems anymore after you left, and they can sleep with, good night rest and stuff like that. But usually storms coming down, that's amazing. I mean, where was this again?
Well, Old Boy is in the desert in California. I am in the mountains of Virginia. So where I am is right in the middle of where a lot of the battles were taking place in the Civil War. I'm in the Shenandoah Valley. So there's a ton of battles that happened here, and just thousands of people got killed here in the battles. So this area is just supercharged as far as spiritual activity and just horrible things because of all that negative energy from the battles. You have that to a certain degree up in Gettysburg as well, because that was a really, really bad battle there. But here in the valley, man, there was a lot of down and dirty fighting that took place. It wasn't all like battlefield fights. It was fights throughout the valley, in the woods, hiding behind trees, jumping out, stabbing each other. Just craziness happened here. And I think a lot of that pain and that suffering and that residual energy is still here, and it fuels these things. And I mean, we get some cases here that will blow your socks off as far as the level of danger. And that's really the only way I can say it. I know that sounds crazy to people who are listening who don't deal with this stuff. They think of a paranormal case, they think maybe they hear a knock or something because they watch one of the shows, and if they get a knock or a single voice EVP, then all of a sudden that's a oh my God moment. Man, here I get thrown across the damn room sometimes. I've had people try to stab me. I've had people try to shoot me because they've been influenced by these things. There's some crazy stuff that happens on some of these hardcore cases. And one thing that me and Old Boy always stress, and I'm sure that you will join us in this message, is that this stuff is dangerous. This is nothing to play with. A lot of people see this on TV and they think it looks like fun and they go out and do it. What they don't realize is when they're messing with the spirit world, they're messing with something that is very, very dangerous. These things can easily destroy you, destroy your life, destroy your family, destroy your finances, destroy your health, destroy everything. And there's not a whole hell of a lot we can do about it. You know what I mean? I mean, through the power of God and the exorcists, we're able to do things, but even that's not permanent, because if the people want the demon back, it can come back, and there's nothing I can do about it. You see what I'm saying? This stuff is very, very dangerous, and I think people take it way too lightly and think it's just a fun thing to do, and it's really not.
No, I absolutely agree with you. That's funny you said that, because I just got back from Pennsylvania. For a year and a half, I went out there, and I just got back about 6 months ago. And you are right. That land is so saturated with all those battles, and it's in the land. The land has its energy, and a lot comes from that. It doesn't just have to be this or that. West Virginia. I worked in West Virginia, and you said you're from Virginia, and that's out there as well. I think. I mean, it is. You're absolutely right. As far as it is very dangerous. You don't just go out there and just think. You get a knock here, you get a knock there. Something flies off a shelf. Oh my God, I'm scared. I mean, there's some scary stuff that really happens out there, and I absolutely agree with you on that. But I think it's also amazing, too, to experience it. I don't know if I'm crazy for that. Just to be able to experience it. And like you said, being influenced, you almost got killed, you almost got shot. 100%. I mean, it's nuts as far as what one can encounter. But I've never actually gotten as into it as you've been into it with everything like that, where you need the church, you need exorcisms, everything like that. I have never once come across anything that bad. Even though we have our own situations and certain things that go on around here. But I've never heard of that being out in West Virginia, and I understand about the battles and everything, but it's soaked in the land. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I mean the natives believe that the land has its own spirit, and I 100% agree with that assessment, because there's something that happens when bad things happen in an area. I don't know if it's like psychic residue, like an impression was left by the event of negative energy, and that is what you are seeing over and over again in the residual type haunts that aren't intelligent. But something happens that captures that negativity, that bad thing, whatever it was that took place, and it reverberates through time. You know, it could be 100 years ago that something happened, but still we're seeing replays of it today. And I've been to places and seen things like that, where you see scenes unfold over and over and over again. And it's not anything that can communicate with you. It's not an intelligent entity. It is simply like you're watching a replay. You're watching a film almost, but it's there in front of you. And I think that the land somehow, I don't know if it's through magnetism or how it works, like the technical aspects of it, but somehow the land is able to capture and hold that energy and to replay it through time.
Have you seen a scene like that when, like, say you step out of an elevator or the elevator door opens and you see a scene and you're watching something from back in the day, and you know, you're watching, you know, surgery or something like that, you know what I mean, as an example. And you say that's like a residual because they don't know, you know, but then the guy looks up at you, he notices you, it's still intelligent. He knows you're there, you know what I mean? But have you ever experienced something like that?
Yeah, here there's a bunch of battlefields. And on some of these battlefields, if you go there at night and sit alone in the dark, you can watch the battle happen again in some spots. Now, it's not the full battle, but you will see like soldiers just appear out of nowhere and go running across the field and then disappear again. You'll hear the sounds of the cannons and the rifles going off. You know, you can even have a soldier run right through you if you're standing in the right spot, and he don't even know you're there. He just goes right like you're not even there. He's running a path that he ran way back in the 1860s. And he has no idea you're there. He doesn't look at you. He doesn't respond to anything you do. It's just playing out on its own. And if you stay there long enough, you can watch it loop over and over and over again. The soldier will appear and run and disappear, and then appear and run and disappear. And it's separated by a space of time. It's not like every couple seconds. You know, you might have to wait a couple hours for it to happen again. But I've seen it happen to where they don't even know you're there. They don't respond to anything you do. You can yell, you can scream, you can jump up and down, you can whistle Dixie. They don't care. They just do their own thing, and it's like you don't even exist. And as far as I can tell, that looks to me to be a residual haunt, something that isn't intelligent, that isn't aware of us. It's in its own world, doing its own thing, replaying something that happened when it was alive.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. And it is a residual haunt. I mean, I had something go through me the other day. You know, I'm over a friend's house at a fire pit, and, you know, I'm sitting next to the fire, and all of a sudden, my arms start wailing up and down, and I got this, my whole body just like jolted, and I was like, and it was like a big chill, but it was like an extra big chill, and my whole arms are wailing around, and next thing I know, I got goosebumps and chicken skin, and I just sat there. I was like, what was that? You know what I mean? And, you know, after discussing it, you know, come to find out, someone actually walked through me, you know, and but so I understand that.
Well, the funny thing is, talking about Pennsylvania, because what a lot of people don't realize, I'm from Pennsylvania. I don't know much of my history because my mom was adopted, so we moved out here when I was 6. But I have a past from there. I don't like being there. I've been back there a couple times. I hated it. I hate back east altogether. But What I deal with in California is pretty much the same thing. James has dealt with stuff here with us because he's usually on the phone because we do it via Facebook. I've dealt with some really bad things. I think my group has been affected by it. They have a lot of bad thing that's been happening to them lately. So I know what James is talking about because we went to this cemetery in Victorville and it's got the wraith. And we've been dealing with that, and it attacks people, and it's not very friendly. And I only like to do extreme things like James. There's a video out right now that my group put out, 2 of the people who went to Penhurst 8 months ago or 7 months ago, and I actually battled a demon on that video. And Penhurst is famous. Everybody's been there, Zach Baggins, and they have never seen somebody get rid of a demon the way I did. It was Bevel, one of the demons of hell, and didn't like them and called me out, just like it's called me out. I've never been to Virginia, and it called me and James out in a hotel. So that's the stuff we deal with. This show is haunted. A lot of people don't know that. We have recorded stuff practicing, doing the show and videos and stuff like that. And we hear stuff talking, and there's none of us. We have our mics muted. That's what's crazy. So you'll hear stuff during the show, and it isn't us. We have no one in the house, or they're in the other rooms, and they know not to come in here. That's one thing you're going to notice. If you guys ever listen to our shows, you'll hear weird stuff because there's stuff that likes to talk to us. We've had it recorded. It was crazy. My wife heard it and everything. So I figured what I was going to ask you is, what is the most craziest thing you've gone on, because I know you've done investigations. What's the craziest investigation you've been on, if you don't mind me asking you, Christina?
Craziest investigation I've been on, probably Livermore. You know about Livermore in Pennsylvania?
A little bit, yeah.
You ever hear of it? Livermore was actually pretty cool. It's a huge tunnel where bodies, dead bodies, like filled it to the top, and there was like a flood, and it just flooded out bodies, and it was crazy. So there's a lot there as far as people dying and whatever happened in that tunnel. But I've caught in so many EVPs in that tunnel. I don't really have a crazy location. I've been to Cascade Park, Flinders Tunnel. We did like Franklin Pierce and the Hannah Dustin Memorial and stuff like that. But Livermore was probably the best because of what I caught. But I never experienced anything when I go to these places. Like I've been to Taunton Hospital. I've been to Danvers State many times. I've been to all these places and I never experienced anything physical. I'd never been physically touched except for that one time in Pennsylvania where I got smacked in the back of the head. That was the first time I've ever been touched. So if you go doing this for so many years and you never experience those things, like I never experienced seeing a residual scene like that. I think that's amazing. And I think if I did see that, I'm going to go out again and again and again and see more because I want to see more. I'm intrigued. I'm fascinated. You know what I mean? And for me to collect EVPs, I am so into those, and I have so many of them, Class A's, whatnot, and just the things they say in them. You can actually have full-blown conversations straight up with them and get information. And then you have the EVPs that they're talking amongst themselves. They don't even care what you're asking them. They're just talking amongst themselves, and it's funny. It's funny what you hear. But I never really had a crazy thing happen like with those rocks or poltergeist activity or being thrown or anything like that. So, it just is what it is. I don't know if it's my area. You think being in Salem, I'd see that stuff. Something. Give me something. I'm not getting any of that down here as far as what you'd get in where you guys are, or Virginia or West Virginia or Pennsylvania, even in other countries, because in other countries it's really that bad. So I really don't have anything crazy. When I was in Salem, I woke up, I was frozen. I couldn't move, and my alarm clock was going off, and I'm laying there, and only my eyeballs could move, and I could see. I couldn't move anything. And next thing I know, a silhouette comes from a laying down position and sits to an upright position, shuts my alarm clock off, and then falls back into the bed and disappeared. And once it disappeared, I was able to move. And I sat there and I was like, like what just happened to me? You know, but I remember it to this day, clear as day, because I used to wake up every morning and my comforter on my bed that I used to cover myself with would end up across the room in the corner. Every morning I wake up and my comforter is across the room in the corner. And I'm like, what? You know, can you stop this? I'm cold. You know what I mean? Can you stop taking my comforter? And then that happened to me. So, I mean, you know, little things like that to me are it's just fascinating to me. And I don't know. I just enjoy experiences like that.
Yeah, Livermore is one of those places that has a history of depression and just sadness, really. Because if it's the same Livermore I'm thinking of, it's a place that was flooded back when the Flood Control Act came in, right? Where they made the dam. Is that what you're talking about? Okay. That town had a history before then of constantly flooding, where they would be like 18 feet of water and it would just wipe out complete homes and wipe out people's entire lives. So that area has a lot of that residual sadness and residual bad energy as well. The problem is probably the best spots there, honestly, are underwater. So that's probably why you didn't catch a whole lot of good stuff there. I mean, I'm sure you got some good EVPs because that area is going to be a rich area. But the problem is they flooded it in order to provide electricity to the surrounding area when they flooded the river. And I think most of the areas there are probably underwater.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct about that. I did have the K2 meter going, and it was going to red on demand as asking it to go to red. And it was following the instructions, go to yellow, go to orange, go to red. So it is intelligent there. But yeah, you're absolutely right. A lot of that stuff is underwater. It really is.
I think also one reason why some people have a lot more activity happen than other people do is the type of cases they work. You know, like with us, we work primarily demonic cases. And what ends up happening is when you go head to head with demonic entities or malevolent entities even, and you piss them off, naturally they're going to keep coming after you. And you're going to keep getting more and more stuff. And you mentioned it earlier that the stuff kind of gets drawn to you and ends up in your home and ends up all throughout your life. And the stronger the entities that you're going against, the more damage is going to be done to you in your life, and the more damage long term that's going to happen to you, if that makes sense. And I don't know if it's a curse or a blessing to have the extra activity, to be honest, because there's a lot of people on our teams that have been hurt very badly. There's a lot of lives that have been ruined in the process of doing this. And the only reason I do what I do is because I'm called by God to do it. You know, I believe in my heart that this is what I was called to do. And that's why I do it, because I want to help people. And you brought up earlier about helping kids. And to me, nothing pisses me off more than when one of these evil bastards are messing with children and hurting children. And we had a case here in Virginia that we worked where a demon was attached to the father in the home. And it was influencing the daughter and causing the daughter to slice herself and do all these crazy things. And she ended up being put in a psych ward for quite a while. And she had multiple suicide attempts. And it literally was trying to kill her. And it was attached to the father. And we tried to get it out of the house to protect the little girl. And we were successful in doing that. But the father wanted the demon with him. So essentially he ended up inviting it back, and it came back, and it was hurting the family yet again. And finally the mother and daughter left, moved away from the father, got away from the situation completely. The little girl is safe. She had a full recovery. She has a great life now. The father is dying as we speak. His liver's failing him, and he's going to be dead soon. But he caused that problem because we went in and got rid of it, and he brought it back because he missed it. He missed that feeling of power that he had. So these things, not only can they harm you and destroy you, but there's almost a siren song of sorts, if I can coin a nice little phrase for it, to where you are seduced by the power and the benefits that that demonic entity give you, and you end up bringing it back. And I think that's something that everybody needs to be wary of, especially everybody who works cases, because eventually you're going to run into something that is beyond what you can do, and it's going to be dangerous. And if you don't know how to protect yourself, and you don't know how to properly cleanse and to properly keep these things from following you home, you're going to end up with big problems.
Yep, I've seen it happen numerous times. We've had people who say they're this and that, and they get all kinds of stuff happening to them, and they ask, well, why do we do stuff? Like, James is different than me. I'm attracted to this stuff, and it doesn't bother me. I've dealt with so many things. I deal with demons every day. So the only thing that pisses me off is when people try to piss the demons off by antagonizing them and not realizing what they're really playing with. There's a lot of people who do that, and they don't realize what they're playing with and what they're dealing with. You might think you're getting over on them, but trust me, they're going to get you back. It's coming. These are nothing you play with. That's what the difference is. These people are playing with stuff they don't understand. And it could kill you. It could kill you in so many different ways. And like James said, he had to get rid of it. If the person doesn't want it, it's not going to go anywhere. If you want something in your house, and we've talked to people and, oh, we can get them out of your house. Well, I don't know, this and that. You don't want them gone. You want them there for your own personal good. They bring you some kind of power. You're trying to use it to become famous on TV, whatever you're trying to do. There's a reason. And even if you get rid of it, they can get somebody else who you're friends with who doesn't believe in, and then get them to turn, and they can take care of you that way. So that's what a lot of people don't understand. They can get rid of you in different ways. And it's not just them or the person they got involved with. They can get somebody else. Say you have a buddy that doesn't, has a lot of suicide thoughts. You don't even know that. Well, they can start talking to them, and they can have them take care of you. So that's what a lot of people don't realize. We deal with stuff that it's crazy it's crazy to hear that we talk to a lot of people. They don't deal with what me and James deals with. We will go anywhere. Send us, and I'll deal with whatever they're saying. Me and James will go in there and deal with it. A lot of people won't mess with the stuff we mess with. They think we're crazy and we're going to pay for it. Well, you know what? I've been doing it for years, and I have nothing bad happening to me. I mean, I've had stuff attack me, but that's happened all my life. James has stuff attack him. Who cares? We're going to die one way or another. It doesn't matter. You're going to either die regularly, some car is going to hit you, or this is going to take us out. Then you know what? I'd rather go dying on my shield. That's just how me and him are. And James knows we both are not afraid to go. So if it's helping somebody, then we're going to help them. But I've run into a lot of cases where, just like James is saying, that these people don't want the help. They want it. They like the power. They get a power trip from it, and it helps them, and it does stuff for them. But there's going to be a payment. Trust me on that. They're always going to be.
Yeah, I totally agree with that as well. I mean, I'm in it myself for helping people, because that's what it's all about to me, is helping people. And I have it's like a calling. It's like a passion. You know what I mean? And I've had a spirit attachment on me for a long time, and I wasn't aware of it, but I had such a rough roller coaster ride of a life that it's because of these things that are attached to you that you're not even aware of. So when you find out that you are, that pulled off of you, you see, you feel different. and you understand what's going on. Like even being followed by these things, even the demons. Been followed for a long time by demons, and I've had demons in my house for 14 years. I got many EVPs that can prove that. And I got many EVPs that, I mean, you hear the snarls and the growls, and you get these things going on, and when you do these things, or even investigations, that you do draw them in, and they can follow you home. You can get stuck with them. They might not even want to leave, and it's case by case, basically, but I completely understand where you're coming from, and I do agree with what you're saying.
We are just about out of time. Before we go, though, if I can make one suggestion to you, I have an idea for a neat little, I don't know if you want to call it a column or a section or whatever for your magazine. I think it would be cool if you had a section where people could send in different photographs, stuff like that they've captured of paranormal phenomenon. And then you could have a section in your magazine where you publish those photographs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw back over to you, Christina, and let you do all your plugs, anything you want to plug and all that. And let me know what you think of that idea.
I think it's a great idea. I mean, I'm all for it. I will actually put that into motion, actually, and I can actually get that done. I can do anything I want. I designed it all myself, and I am looking for ideas, and I am looking for things to build, and that is a great idea. Even I'm having a column talking about things that people experience but don't know a little about, and we're trying to educate them. But these photographs, absolutely, I'm down for that. As far as we collabed with Australia with a TV show, Ghost Gals. We are working with online psychics live, working with different psychics. I'm even doing an interview on an internationally known hoodoo specialist, Dedrick Hilton, and we're working with psychics, Aura Tarot, and we got all these different things. Parafest Maine. It's a paranormal festival. They got booths, foods, entertainments, investigations, events, speakers, and we all come together. And then at the end of the night, we do investigations together. So we all come together, and we have all our little things going on. And I just think I think it's great. I think what we're doing is what we need to do. It is our calling. It is what we're meant to do. I believe it's my passion. I believe this is what I'm supposed to do, and I'm going to continue to do it. And regardless of the outcome, I'm never going to stop. You know what I mean? And this is something that I do, and I don't even know what to say about it. It's phenomenal. It's amazing. It's scary. It could be scary. It can be a lot like you've dealt with, but it's reality, and that's what we need to understand is it's happening out there. You know what I mean?
Yep, let the audience know where they can get the magazine and all of your other links and everything.
Sure. The website is Haunted's Collection. It's website.com, Beyond the Gravestones. You can go on Facebook and go on Beyond the Gravestones Paranormal Magazine, and it will have the website. I'm still trying to get the domain for it, so it'd be a lot easier. But as far as the website goes, everything's on there. You can get digital copies. You can just email me. You can contact me on Facebook at Haunted Salem. Christina Corsetti, and I sell out of issues as fast as I get reserved. People are reserving them so quick that by the time I get them printed, I don't even have any issues left. That's how big this is getting, and all I can do is grow and grow and grow. But it's Beyond the Gravestones, and you can find it like I said on Facebook, and strategicparanormal.com is my my investigation team site. You can even find Beyond the Gravestones on that site as well, which is a lot easier. Strategicparanormal.com, and you can find everything you need just right there.
Very good, Christina. Thank you very much for joining us. I appreciate it, and let us know if there's anything we can do for you in the future as far as helping grow your magazine or anything that you need. We appreciate you coming on. Old boy, do you want to go ahead and give your shout-outs, brother?
Thank you, brother. Thank you, Christina, for coming on the show. Thank you, Parax Radio, every Sunday for listening to us. If you guys want to listen to our shows from the past and new, go follow James Hershey's YouTube page. You want merchandise? He'll tell you where to go. We can get shirts, COVID masks, all kinds of cool things. Check it out. Just so you guys know, my book's almost done. So we'll be telling you in about a month or so when it's coming out. So just wanted to throw that out for a little treat because Halloween's coming. Have a good night, Misfits, Sugar Ladies, Monster Hunters, Demon Lovers. Blessed be and have a great night.
I want to thank Christina once again for coming on and hanging out with us. Thank you all for listening. I appreciate you guys. As Old Boy said, the links, youtube.com/James Hershey Jr. That's where everything is. In the description box, you can find the link to the merch store. Thank you all, and we love you, and we'll catch you on the next one. Until we speak to you again, love many, trust few, and do harm to none. God loves you, and so do we. Bye-bye.